So they should be able to hear me as I'm speaking into this microphone. Hopefully. I just keep speaking. Do you want to say something?
Hi.
We're just asked him if you can hear and see us. We're testing if the audio is working on our live YouTube stream. It should be coming through soon. Because it should. It might be delayed, just a little bit. 10 or 15 seconds delayed, probably. But it should work.
Be
You can, maybe. Can you pump a bit of audio out on that channel? As in, like from a clip or something? Okay, we
jingle
can.
or something.
I'll turn that.
You're listening to Fox Talk Radio, the sound of Cornwall. For extra news bites, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Fox Talk Radio. For extra news bites, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Fox Talk Radio. You're listening to Fox Talk Radio, the sound of Cornwall. You're listening to Fox Talk Radio, the sound of Cornwall. You're listening to Fox Talk Radio, the sound of Cornwall.
I report today on a British...
For extra news bites, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Fox Talk Radio. You're listening to Fox Talk Radio, the sound of Cornwall. You're listening to Fox Talk Radio, the sound of Cornwall. You're listening to Fox Talk Radio, the sound of Cornwall. You're listening to Fox Talk Radio, the sound of Cornwall. You're listening to Fox Talk Radio, the sound of Cornwall.
You're listening to
Fox Talk.
Issues got you feeling like you've been used by the world around you.
Ghetto Orange has produced 8 singles and an EP since coming to
You're listening to Fox Talk Radio, the sound of Cornwall.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Fox Talk Radio. I'm Amy Coleman.
And I'm Cynthia Horvath. Let's look at some of our stories for today.
This morning, Falmouth celebrated the beginning of the 100-day countdown to Armed Forces Day at Pendennis Castle, with the main event due to take place in June this year.
After Wednesday and national strikes, today members of university and college union walked out again.
Falmouth Marathon also took place over the weekend. All of that and more later on our programme.
For extra news bites, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Fox Talk Radio.
Now, on more national and international matters, our news reporter Leonora Ellis brings us all the latest, from government budgets to match of the day disputes.
I report today on a British economy which is proving the doubters wrong.
Conservative MP and Chancellor of the Exchequer, Jeremy Hunt, has delivered a budget to try and avoid a technical recession, offering a £9 billion tax break for business investment to try and lift Britain's growth rate, a pension boost and extension of free childcare of £5 billion. Labour leader Keir Starmer said the pension boost was a huge giveaway to some of the wealthiest people in the country.
Our economy needed major surgery, but like millions across our country, this budget leaves us stuck in the waiting room with only a sticking plaster to hand.
Hunt defended the pension tax giveaway, saying he's having positive discussions with unions over pay for NHS staff. Joe Biden and his administration has approved what's known as the Willow development, one of the largest oil drilling projects staged in the US in decades. This is an oil drilling venture of colossal scale, with more than 200 oil wells on Alaska's North Slope, which will be adding the emissions of the entire country of Belgium.
That over 100,000 people sent in letters to stop the Willow project. Millions of views on
This has come as a huge shock from Biden, who was hailed as America's first climate president. Biden has said, "We're going to need oil for at least another decade." But critics have argued that the Earth's climate does not recognise political good intentions. Match of the Day presenter Gary Lineker will return to the BBC after a suspension following a tweet about the government's recent asylum policy. Lineker criticised the policy as harsh and likened their language to that of 1930s Germany. His tweet has divided the public and MPs. Issues like impartiality and use of social media have been thrown into question. Tim Davie, the Director General of the BBC, announced a review of his social media policy which will have a particular focus on how it applies to freelancers outside news and current affairs.
This morning, Falmouth celebrated the start of the countdown 100 Days to Armed Forces Day at Pendennis Castle. The event itself will be held on the 24th of June 2023. Despite the rain today, the event still gathered a big crowd.
Our correspondent, Liv Marsden, reports from the scene speaking to Polly Perkins, the Joint Military Commander for Armed Forces Day. In attendance was also Lewis Gardiner, the Cornwall Council lead for National Armed Forces Day, where gun salutes and helicopters put on a show.
This year, Falmouth has the honour of hosting the nationally regarded Armed Forces Day.
So, every year towns have got the opportunity to bid for the Armed Forces Day national event. I'm very proud and grateful that Cornwall Council saw fit to bid and they were successful. So fantastically this year it's going to be in Cornwall.
With just 100 days left until the celebrations begin, members of the armed forces and their families gathered at Pendennis Castle to start the countdown.
So from now, which is the 100-day launch, there's going to be a number of events leading up to the 24th of June. There's an armed forces flag that's going to be making its way around Cornwall, connecting with young people, connecting with communities and veterans, all leading up to the main event on the 24th of June.
On the 24th of June, Falmouth streets will be full with a large range of celebrations going on.
So on the 24th of June, we've got a really packed programme. We're going to have a parade through Falmouth. There should be about 1,000 personnel taking part in that. That includes serving, reserves, cadets, and importantly, a significant number of veterans. And there's going to be a frigate alongside, there's going to be flypasts, lots of things going on in Event Square, a whole programme of celebratory events, including a concert in the evening and a firework display.
It sounds like it's going to be a brilliant event, and Falmouth seems like the perfect place for it.
Falmouth's got a couple of advantages. First of all, we've got an experienced team in Falmouth that are hosting large events. You know, we had the G7 there last year, or parts of the G7. But it's got an incredible natural harbour, one of the largest in the world. So we know we can get naval ships in there. We've already got a regular naval presence for some of the ships that are into refit. We've got the incredible backdrop of Pendennis Castle and Falmouth Bay, where we can do the air displays. And we've got a town that really welcomes events like this. So that all added together makes sense for Falmouth. But it's not just about the single town of Falmouth. And we are planning a number of events between now and the main weekend right across Cornwall.
There will be something for everyone this Armed Forces Day, and it's a wonderful chance to celebrate the forces past, present and future.
I think it's hugely important to all of Cornwall. For me personally, I'm a veteran of 20 years service. I sat down and thought it would be a good idea to actually bid for Armed Forces Day. But I think everyone in Cornwall is incredibly proud of our armed forces. We've got 39,000 veterans here, 100,000 people in Cornwall who claim some sort of link to the armed forces through them or a family member. And so for us here in Cornwall to be able to say thank you to our armed forces for everything that they do for us, both here in the UK and abroad, I think is hugely important and means a lot. And it's a real honour for us to be able to host this event this year.
Make sure you don't miss the celebrations this June, and to find out more, look up Armed Forces Day online.
This sounds like a good start. I'll be looking forward to the 24th of June. Hopefully it'll be a sunny day.
Yeah, pouring rain definitely doesn't sound appealing, but seeing the red arrows on a nice sunny day is definitely not to be missed.
You can find pictures and videos from today across our platforms on Instagram, YouTube and our website, Truthful.
Strikes have been taking place today across the UK and even on our own university campus. Our reporter in the field, Callum Walker, has been out to talk to those on the picket line about why they're striking and what it means for students.
Falmouth University will take part in unprecedented strikes that are happening right across the country today, with 150 UK universities taking part in the action in the hope of creating substantially improved offers in disputes over pay, working conditions and pension cuts. This is the biggest series of strikes to ever hit UK university campuses. Here's what one person taking part had to say.
Hi, what's your name?
Alex Falconer.
And what are you here for, Alex?
I'm here on strike as part of the UCU strike that's going on at the moment. So basically we're in dispute with the university management and government over pay, conditions, pensions and the general marketisation of higher education.
What would you say to uni students that are missing classes?
I'd say, we're on strike for them as much as we're on strike for us. We've been put in this position by university management and government who've been, destroying, higher education, paying conditions for so long, which obviously affects their learning conditions. We all know there's a cost of living crisis right now. There's a mental health crisis. If they don't have a lecturer, I'd say, come and join us on the picket. Let's fight this together. If the staff and students ran this university, it would be in a much better position than the current lot that are doing it. So I'd say, come out and support us. This is their fight as much as ours.
In addition to students and staff, there was also a member of the UCU at the protest. Here's what he had to say.
My name's Tom Scott and I'm the co-chair of the Falmouth University branch of UCU. That's the university that represents staff at universities.
So what are your strategies in striking here today?
Well, our strategy, our aim is to get a better pay deal, to get more secure employment, because many of our members are on very insecure, short-term, sometimes 0-hours contracts, and also to address the problem of overwork, which is a big problem at universities throughout the UK, and to try and close up the pay gap that exists in terms of gender, disability and race. Possibly the last strike day, we are having a big meeting of delegates from all branches later on today to decide whether or not to accept an offer by the University's Employers Association. There are feelings running quite strongly on both sides. It's certainly not enough in terms of pay, but we've made real progress in other areas, and particularly in terms of 0-hours contracts. We got a commitment from the universities that they will be ending that type of contract. We also have a very positive development on pensions. The older universities had been trying to take away the pension rights of their staff. Those are going to be restored, so that's a major achievement, and none of these things would have happened without strike action. So I think it's a really good demonstration of how strikes do work. Whether or not this one has actually succeeded fully, I'm not sure, but we've certainly achieved a great deal that wouldn't have been possible without taking industrial action.
We also spoke to a student about how she felt about the strikes. How do you feel about the strikes happening over the weekend and today?
I kind of feel like it's valid what they're doing, and I kind of feel like if they don't have any other option, then there's nothing that can be done. They need higher wages because they do a PhD and go through all this educational rigmarole. And I think who I'm angry at more than anything is the government for having the education system end up the way that it is. I don't feel kind of great about missing lectures, but at the same time, I feel like, there is no other alternative.
With strikes set to continue into Friday and on into next week, it remains to be seen whether the strikes will have any impact on lecturers' pay and students' futures. Callum Walker, Fox Talk Radio.
Thank you, Callum. Cynthia, what do you think about the union strikes?
I feel like both sides need to be heard. Working conditions are important, but also students have been through a lot as well. Amy, would you say that your education has been impacted by the strikes?
I'd say my education hasn't been too heavily impacted because my tutors aren't striking, but I do know a few people who have been pretty negatively impacted by them.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. But be sure to read Truthow's view today on our website at truthow.com.
Looking ahead at today's programme, we cover the Falmouth Marathon, which took place last Sunday. The marathon attracted a good audience and raised thousands of pounds. Being a young woman in Cornwall facing issues such as the cost of living crisis, it can be hard to find accessible and affordable mental health support. This week, Emma and Emily spoke to Sam Lawson from the charity Georgia's Voice about work that they are doing to make finding mental health support as stress-free as possible.
Georgia's Voice is a West Cornwall-based charity that provides mental health support for women to reduce suicide rates. Sam Lawson has been a facilitator at the Truro Group for a year.
Georgia's Voice started out of quite a tragic story. So Georgia is the daughter of our founder, Sophie, and in early 2020 she took her own life. And for Sophie that was obviously a really stressful and distressing time. And the whole purpose of Georgia's Voice is to give young women aged 18 to 25 a space that they can meet and talk freely about what's going on in their lives and what's troubling them, with the hope that through talking we could reduce the suicide rates of young women in Cornwall.
The sessions are designed to make the girls feel as comfortable as possible and provide them with a safe space to talk.
All of the sessions are run by women, so we support any woman or anyone that identifies as a woman aged 18 to 25, and all of the group facilitators are women, although we do a number of activities that sometimes are run by men in a professional field that would be the right person to support us. Some groups we can touch really heavy subjects, so we can touch those subjects that maybe are seen as quite taboo in normal conversations. So things like, we don't shy away from things like self-harm, suicide, abuse, eating disorders, because there's so much shame attached to those kind of words. But in our group, we want them to feel free to talk about those things and understand that there isn't shame around them, and that by talking about them, that's the best way that they can kind of learn to kind of move through it and kind of develop their thought process and thinking around it. But it isn't all like heavy stuff. We do have a lot of fun and a lot of laughter as well. As I said, we celebrate what's going on in their lives.
Sam has noticed that the current cost of living crisis has now become another contributor to poor mental health.
I think the hardest thing at the moment is the cost of living, because I think there's a real sense of loneliness that's come out of it, because people can't afford to go out anymore. People are questioning their life choices about, do they go to university, is it worth it? Or people are at university and stuck in horrible accommodation that they can't get out of, or they're stuck, or they're not at university but just stuck in really cheap housing, and it's horrible, and they can't get out because they're just not earning the money, and the jobs aren't really out there. Like, you could get 3 part-time jobs if you want in Cornwall at the moment, but you wouldn't be able to get like a really well-paid full-time job. And I think these are some of the issues that are happening to some of the young women, and they want to talk about, because they're like, well, how do I manage it? How do I make friends when I've got no money? Like, what is there to do that I can do? Or my mental health's really bad, so I'm not working at the moment, but I can't really afford to go anywhere to get my mental health to be any better, so what can I do? When we look at history's very much written from a male point of view, and especially when we look at medical stuff, everything is done from a male point of view. And can we use the same diagnostic tools for women as we can for men, when fundamentally we are different? The first thing I'd say is have a look at our website or have a look on our Facebook page, and that will show you all the groups that are running. Now, you are not restricted to just going to the group in your hometown or just going to one group. You can go to as many as you want, and find the group that fits you. Contact us via our Facebook group, and then our admin team will contact the facilitator at the group that you're attending. And if you're really nervous, say you'd like someone to meet you at the door, and what we'll do is we'll make sure we're there for you.
That was Sam, who facilitates the Cornwall group. However, did you know that George's Voice have a group based on Penryn campus? If you're a student and looking for some mental health support, definitely check them out. If you want to support the charity, you can visit their Pre-Loved boutique in Falmouth and donate what you can.
Amy, do you think being greeted at the door would make a support group seem less daunting?
I think so, yeah. I went to a safe space last year, and they were very friendly from as soon as you walked in the door, so I think it's definitely a way of making them more approachable. How do you feel about the cost of living crisis and how it's affected your mental health?
It's definitely affected it a little bit, I believe. Like, it's definitely a bit more stressful, and you have to be a bit more aware of things. Sunday the 12th of March saw the annual Falmouth Half Marathon take place, where 600 participants took part in the 4-hour track to raise money for Cornwall Hospice Care. As of today, just over £9,000 has been raised. Pablo Bulls Blanco has the report.
Well, I'm up here at Pendennis Point for Falmouth Half Marathon 13.1 mile run. The runners have just started now. It's a 10 till 2 race. All money raised will be sent to Cornwall Hospice Care, who set up this event. It's about 10 in the morning now as runners are starting to gather and they are passing up by Pendennis Castle. They began their journey down the Princess Pavilion, and they've just started their routes a few moments ago. I'm now headed down to Princess Pavilion to speak to race director Jane Appleton.
So the race is organised by Cornwall Hospice Care. We're a local charity and we've got 2 hospices in the county. So one in Hale called St Julia's and then Mount Edgecombe Hospice in St Austell. So this race basically raises about £25,000 each year for our charity. We've got 600 people taking part today. It's 13 miles, so quite a hilly course for them, so it's quite a challenging one, but we expect some of the front people to be back quite quickly, probably about 11:15. It's like one of our sort of flagship events, really. We always get close to sell out. This is the first time we've ever sold out, so that's really exciting, and we will hopefully be able to release more spaces next year. But yeah, it's a really popular event, and it's part of the Cornwall Grand Prix running series. So there's 16 races across the county that take place each year, and people take part to do part of that. So about half a field are Grand Prix runners, and then the other half tend to be our supporters, people that have maybe lost someone with us that want to raise money to support the charity.
So there we have it. Sounds like the half marathon was a success from start to finish. It's great to see so many people taking part and donating money for a good cause. If you want to see some images from the marathon, then head over to our Instagram page at Fox Talk Radio.
Fox Talk Radio.
Let's take a look now at our online content from this week on truthfowl.com. Cynthia, I know your story is up now and it's about a certain star-studded event that happened last Sunday.
Yeah, I did a little story on the Oscars as it was quite a big, impactful one for representation.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think? Did you see the Oscars?
I did see the Oscars. I thought it was a great event. I think very well-deserved awards were dished out this year.
Yeah, of course. Did you remember any of their dresses?
I did. I think Florence Pugh was looking great, and Pedro Pascal, obviously. What about you?
Of course. Yeah, Pedro Pascal suited his suit very well.
Yep.
On another topic, I've seen you around campus interviewing some people. What story have you been working on this week?
So this week I've been looking at new recycling points that have been popping up across campus and spoke to Dylan Jones of the facilities team about this project and asked a few different students about what they thought about having more recycling points across campuses. So definitely keep an eye out for those spots and we can definitely get more recycling done, be a more sustainable campus.
Amy's piece is up on our YouTube channel and will soon be up on our website as well, so keep an eye out definitely for that.
Another interesting piece on Truthfowl is about supermarket prices. Our editor-in-chief this week, Bobby Angelov, went to Waitrose after the company announced they are slashing prices on over 100 products, while comparing Lidl prices as well as quality.
Yes, I would recommend reading it before your next grocery shop and picking up the latest deals.
What supermarket do you usually shop at, Cynthia?
I usually shop at Lidl as I quite like the vegetarian options.
I agree.
For extra news bites, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Fox Talk Radio.
Despite Cornwall's prominent skating scene and the large student population in the area, a skate park is yet to be built in Falmouth, even though plans for such a project have been in place for over a decade. With limited information being released by the council, skaters are more eager than ever to have a local park to call their own. Our correspondent Charlie Dean, who's also an avid skater himself, tells us all about the struggles of keen skaters.
Falmouth's Olympic-sized skate park was conceptualised in 2010 and granted conditional planning permission in 2019, with the council claiming that it will be a benefit to the local community as well as the present skating community found everywhere in Cornwall. However, even though there has been a massive amount of interest in the project, very little construction has occurred over the past 4 years, with a jump in estimated prices from £500,000 to well over £1 million. I spoke with Sydney, a local sponsored skater, to see what his opinions would be on the benefits of having an Olympic-sized skate park in Falmouth.
I think having that strong community and place to go and fit in, feel like you fit in somewhere is like incredibly important, and it's 100% beneficial. I can't see a single downside. I don't know why it hasn't been done. It's like a 2.5-hour bus to Newquay for a good skate. Even Redroof and not having to get the train and then come home and can be a bit much, and I think having a local park, being able to pop to it for an hour or two instead of having to spend like a day somewhere and just sort of feel at home yeah, I think it's just an all-out great idea, and I genuinely back it to full. I couldn't not back it. Like it's stupid that we haven't got one after so long. I've been skating for 12 years, and it's done so much for me. Like, introduced me to the people. It's helped me make close mates that actually like understand me, and it helps you push yourself. You learn to be persistent. I think it would be great for the community being able to actually hang out with people, and I think having a skate park here would definitely help me and many other people build solid ground and friendships and be a lot happier.
When speaking to Sessions, Falmouth's resident skate shop, they said that they did not want to make any claims as much as in the air, proving that the future of the Olympic-sized skate park in Falmouth remains uncertain.
This is Funky Fox.
The weekly music segment bringing Cornish concerts to you.
I'm Naomi.
And this is Archie.
You're listening to Fox Talk Radio. Next we have Ghetto Orange, also known as Ephraim Masoodi, who has shaken up the music scene in Cornwall, bringing frequent hip-hop shows to the local area. He talks to Naomi Smith about his musical influences and his breakout event, Orange Fest.
Issues got you feeling like you've been used by the world around you.
Ghetto Orange has produced 8 singles and an EP since coming to Falmouth University, performing on several of Falmouth's popular stages. His EP, 5%, was released in 2021 and has created quite the hum in the local music scene.
So in terms of making that project, the 5% project, 2021, that's like, well, that's 2 years ago. That's so long. That's first year. That's crazy. Yeah, the way that came about was basically I had too much music just kind of like lying around. I had been making a track every single day since the first day I came to uni up until like around like April. So I had over 180 something tracks like ready to just be recorded to or written to and da-da-da-da. So I then started compiling stuff and I chose the best ones and it came down to these 5. That's how 5% came about. And it's called 5% because it's only 5% of my power, of what I can, of what I can show. So we'll see what happens when I get to 100. One of my favorite songs released is actually one of the least played songs of their most recent EP. It's called Keep It Real. Personally, I think that's the best track on the whole entire project, besides Cool Like This. But that last one took way too long to make, as in the compiling and the singing and the time it took to get everyone together and the mixing as well. It was crazy. But yeah, I like that song, just purely based on production-wise.
Orange Fest was held on the 11th of March at the Princess Pavilion, making a personal record of attendees for the young rapper, holding upward of 600 people.
Performing at the Princess Pavilion was the biggest show I've ever done and my most favorite show that I've ever done in my whole entire life. And oh my gosh, it was amazing. Not just that, but because we literally we built it from the ground up, and it's just been so interesting watching it grow from the first show up until the last show, which is this one. It's not the last show, but the last show that we did, which is crazy. And we actually from the crowd there was a sea of people, there was a sea of people, which is crazy. Because Orange Fest, it's finally putting the festival. It's finally putting the fest in festival. It's starting to happen. So yeah, super excited, super stoked for what's to come.
And one for his fans, he promises to release new music soon.
I am actually gonna release music now. I know I've just been waiting until this thing has been out the way because it's taken up way too much time. But yeah, it's gone now. I have nothing but time, nothing but creativity, nothing but music, tracks, backing beats, singers here and there. I got so many tracks on my laptop that need to just be released. So I'm releasing everything.
You can find Ghetto Orange on Instagram at ghetto_orange and listen to his music on all major streaming platforms.
That sounded really nice. Amy, would you go back to one of his shows?
Oh, I definitely would go to one of his shows. I'll be looking out to see if he's on the agenda at the Cornish Bank soon. I'm sure he will be. What about you?
Yeah, I believe so. You better invite me.
Yep, you'll be coming.
You're listening to
Fox Talk Radio.
Thanks for joining us today at Fox Talk Radio. We've been your hosts, Amy Coleman
and Cynthia Horvath. Here is That's Love by Ghetto Orange featuring Melissa to play us out. Enjoy.
Early in the morning, mama used to make the porridge. Get me out of bed, get me ready for my college. She used to say, be safe and baby, make sure that you're learning. Make sure that you wear your helmet careful when you're turning. But you know what, we only taking days where I've been swearing. Enjoyment is the key to master your creation. So on the way to school, I was bumping to my music. But little did I know, I was before by Cupid. That's when I saw that fine little mama. She walking and she confident, calling her Miss Obama. I was like, hey girl, what's your name? How you doing? This ain't going anywhere. Can I join you? You're quite amusing. I like to make music for the streets, and sometimes I like to make music for the trees. Yeah, I'm walking with the nature. No worry about the picture, cause you provided my heart with for the cash that I need, and that's love. Yeah, now check it, now check it, and that's love. Yeah, now check it, yeah, now check it, yeah, and that's love, and that's love, and that's love, and that's love, love, yeah, now check it, yeah, now check it, yeah.
Unconditional love I give to you. Take my heart so cold, make it beat a new song I wrote for you. Hope it can make you love me as I do the one I look to.
You're taking my heart, yeah. You're making me forget it, hoping I can restart and feel the same feelings that I did from the start. Yeah, I'm loving you 3000 like they did Tony Stark. You taking my heart, yeah. You're making me forget it, hoping I can restart and feel the same feelings that I did from the start. Yeah, I'm loving you 3000 like they did Tony Stark, and that's love. Yeah, and check it, yeah, and that's love. yeah, check it, and that's love, and that's love, and that's love, and that's love. Yeah, that's what you call love. Yeah, and check it, yeah, and check it, yeah, and that's love. Yeah, that's what you call love. Yeah, and that's love, and that's love, and that's love, and that's love, love.